In the desolate desert, 5 fair-skinned and beautiful girls suddenly appear. They have well-built bodies and strong physiques, making them a rare sight in the desert. They are nicknamed Gold Never Exchanged, which means that their beauty and value cannot be traded even for a ton of gold. In a post-apocalyptic world where water resources are scarce, continuous wars have been sparked, and the earth is covered with endless deserts, known as bloody slaughterhouses. The survivors have been affected by nuclear radiation, resulting in grotesque and ugly mutations. The ruthless Immortan Joe has seized the only water well in the desert and established a massive post-apocalyptic kingdom based on it. He proclaimed himself king, holding control over the water and ruling over the land. He keeps thousands of pale-skinned warriors under his command. These people are naturally anemic with snow-white skin. They have been brainwashed since childhood and pledged their lives to Immortan Joe. Although Immortan Joe holds a powerful kingdom, there is one regret in his life: he does not have a qualified heir. Due to the effects of radiation, healthy women have become extremely rare. Immortan Joe has 2 sons, the eldest is born deformed, and the second son has been mentally disabled since childhood. He has been unable to produce a suitable successor. Over the years, he has sent his subordinates to plunder and search for healthy women. After countless hardships, they have finally found 5 perfect candidates, the same girls who appeared at the beginning of the story. They are locked up in a safe vault, living in darkness day after day. Imperator Furiosa, the chief general under Immortan Joe, cannot bear to see the girls suffer. Taking advantage of his absence on a mission, she leads them in a collective escape. When Immortan Joe discovers this, he becomes furious and immediately leads his army in pursuit. The warriors, driven by their loyalty, become highly excited and aggressive, like they have been injected with adrenaline. Facing the encirclement and obstruction of the large army, Imperator Furiosa remains calm and, with the help of a powerful engine, quickly charges into the heart of the desert. Along the way, they encounter an ambush by the Bullet Farm, whose vehicles are covered in spikes. They engage in a fierce battle while maneuvering through the desert. The Bullet Farm suffers heavy casualties. At this moment, a terrible sandstorm suddenly appeared in front of the vastness of nature. Human beings are as small as ants. Imperator Furiosa fights to the death, driving the chariot into the sandstorm. Immortan Joe is unwilling to take the risk, and was soon left behind. After the terrifying sandstorm subsides, the girls use a water pipe to wash off the sand from their bodies. Suddenly, a masked man appears in the distance. His name is Max Rokitansky, a former desert wanderer who was captured by the warriors and used as a blood bag. The girls mistake him for a pursuer and huddle together in fear. Max Rokitansky, desperate with thirst, threatens them with his gun to hand over the water pipe. Taking advantage of his distraction, Imperator Furiosa launches a surprise attack. The girls join in, attempting to assist Furiosa, but Max Rokitansky, physically strong, effortlessly subdues them all, fighting off 6 opponents single-handedly. Max Rokitansky orders Nux, who was guarding him, to cut the iron chains binding him. Then, with a single punch, he knocks Nux to the ground. At this moment, he regains his freedom. After learning each other's backgrounds, Imperator Furiosa and Max Rokitansky form an alliance and decide to escape together. Furiosa's goal is a desert oasis, rumored to be the last remaining water source. As their war rig passes through a canyon, they are ambushed by the Buzzard clan. Meanwhile, Immortan Joe's convoy catches up. Furiosa lures the Buzzard clan to detonate the canyon wall, effectively blocking Immortan Joe's path. The large number of vehicles becomes immobilized, and an enraged Immortan Joe drives his monster truck over the debris, continuing the pursuit. The 2 sides engage in a fierce chase, with Furiosa and the others hanging by a thread. In a critical moment, one of the girls suddenly opens the car door, exposing herself. She is carrying Immortan Joe's child in her womb. Immortan Joe dares not take reckless action and obediently follows behind. A massive boulder appears ahead, and Furiosa quickly swerves, but the girl hanging outside the car fails to duck in time. The car door slams into the boulder, but luckily, she escapes unharmed, having already taken refuge inside the central part of the vehicle. She grabs onto the door, about to enter, when it suddenly breaks apart. There is a scream, and the girl is thrown out of the vehicle. In order to protect his wife and child, Immortan Joe crashes his car into the rock wall. However, despite his efforts, the girl is severely injured. Immortan Joe holds the girl, who is barely clinging to life, and roars in anger. His carefully cultivated child has met such a tragic end. The sky is covered with dark clouds as the warrior caravan arrives, heralding the beginning of a new round of confrontation. Inside the carriage, the girls unexpectedly find Nux trembling all over. In the chaos of the battle, Nux had jumped onto the war rig, neglecting to protect Immortan Joe's wives and children, a grave offense punishable by death. Unable to face Immortan Joe, to whom he had devoted his entire life, Nux decides to abandon the dark side and find a new direction in life with the help and guidance of the girls. After a day of relentless pursuit, Imperator Furiosa enters an uninhabited swamp where the wheels of the war rig sink into the mud, rendering it immobile. The pursuers draw closer and closer, and it is Nux who steps forward. He secures a chain to a dead tree, using it as a means to start the war rig by pulling it out of the mire. The heavy vehicle almost uproots the tree in the process but manages to escape the mud, allowing the group to continue their journey. The sights along the way are terrifying as survivors in the swamp have mutated, growing long limbs that resemble giant spiders. After a thrilling and perilous night, Imperator Furiosa finally reaches an oasis where a group of older women warmly welcomes her. However, the oasis has been engulfed by the vast desert due to the intensifying drought. Crestfallen, Furiosa falls to her knees, realizing that despite her long escape, she has ultimately failed to escape the cannibalistic desert. In order to survive, Max Rokitansky suggests returning the way they came. With Immortan Joe leading his warriors to recapture the girls, the path to the Citadel, the kingdom of the wasteland, is left unguarded. They seize this opportunity to infiltrate and conquer the Citadel as their only means of survival. The group prepares their equipment and sets off once again. Soon, Immortan Joe on the mountaintop discovers Furiosa's intentions, and he commands his armies to converge on them. The true battle has only just begun. To increase their speed, Nux climbs onto the roof of the war rig and sprays gasoline into the engine, acting as a human turbocharger. However, despite his efforts, the pursuing forces are too numerous and well-equipped, and Furiosa and her companions become completely surrounded. In order to help them escape, the older women step forward, jumping off the war rig and opening fire as a counterattack. But in the face of the steel torrent, they are quickly overwhelmed and crushed. Cunning warriors descend from above using various tools, and the two girls are captured mercilessly. As the saying goes, capture the leader, and the rest will follow. Imperator Furiosa takes a daring risk and climbs onto Immortan Joe's war vehicle, using a mechanical arm to latch onto his breathing apparatus. The arm gets caught in the wheels, and unable to free himself in time, Immortan Joe is torn apart, losing half of his body in the process. With the king now dead, the pursuing forces remain undeterred. To protect everyone, Nux forcefully steers the war rig and sacrifices himself, detonating a passageway that was the only route for the pursuers. Furiosa rushes back to the Citadel, facing the remaining guards. She hurls Immortan Joe's lifeless body at them, symbolizing the end of his reign. The refugees, who had long been fed up with Immortan Joe's rule, enthusiastically rally behind Furiosa as the new leader. A deluge of water pours down from the sky, and Furiosa is determined to create a new oasis. Max Rokitansky, who completed his mission of escorting Furiosa, silently fades into the crowd and departs. As a desert wanderer, he embarks once again on a nomadic journey. This movie is a highly rated adventure action movie, Mad Max, Fury Road. It is a hardcore film that may appeal to those interested. I am Film Lover, so if you enjoy my film reviews, feel free to subscribe. See you next time.